Hey fan warriors, it's me, Samantha the Legendary Narnia Adventure. I am so excited to finally be giving you guys a review of The Force Awakens. I've been waiting so long to do this. It's kind of crazy how this ended up. But anyways, Happy New Year. I hope your New Year was as awesome as mine was, where I stayed in, ate junk food, and totally regretted it. But yeah. Hey. So today I'm going to be talking about Star Wars The Force Awakens. As you know, we're in the middle of Star Wars week, and it's been going great so far. You guys make it awesome, and we just love it. I feel like a pirate with these hoops on. Oh well. Quick reminder, guys, this video will feature multiple spoilers, so if you haven't seen The Force Awakens yet, turn me off right now. I will not be offended, but seriously, leave. So anyway, I just want to talk to you guys about what I kind of thought my high points were, my low points. I went to go see it Sunday of the day it came out in the US, because I am in New England after all. Whoop whoop, we finally got snow. So I loved it. I sat there in the theater and just like there were so many things I loved and so many things I was like cool with and so many things I was like why about, but I just watched it in the theater. And you can say, I mean, I feel like Star Wars fans are split fairly evenly. They're like, oh my gosh, it was great, or oh my gosh, it was horrible, like one way or the other. And I can see that. Like, I mean, I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan. I have been for a really long time. And I mean, I'm not as involved in like the extended universe or whatever, but I know my Star Wars stuff. But it was interesting. I feel like I'm more in the middle, where I'm like, okay, I can see these things were great, and I can see these things were like not so great, but the whole experience was enjoyable. I don't think there was any Star Wars fan who walked out of there and was like, oh my gosh, that movie was so boring and I hated the whole thing. Like, there were no fun parts at all. Like, you can't say that. I mean, Han flippin' Solo was in it. Like, it was great. Okay, so like, I'm gonna talk about some of the pros and the cons that I noticed, and here we go. But first off, can we just hang on, webcam? Let's go. Look at my t-shirt! It's so cute! This is from T-Turtle. Remember that site I told you guys about that has all the cute little fandom merch on it? This is one of the adorable shirts. It's like Mario Kart, but with Star Wars! It's so cute! Thank you, parents. I love Christmas. Okay, so, one of them that I noticed definitely straight off the bat was Harrison Ford in this entire movie was perfection. Like, I don't know how to process this. Like, his acting was just, it's like he never left the role. It's like he's been Han Solo for, you know, the past good 30 years and just stayed that way. And I was like, that's a really great way to, like, pick up where the series left off. But I do want to notice a little con on this. There's no way that any of the actors, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, look like it's only been 30 years since the movies happened. And that's mostly because, you know, they were playing younger roles in the 70s and 80s when the movies were coming out. And I understand that, but I feel like this is just a theory on my part, by the way. This hasn't been cleared by anyone official. I just feel like there's some specific reason why it's 30 years it's supposed to be happening in between. Maybe it's as significant as somebody was born and they have to like grow up, or maybe it's just as insignificant, hey, there's no way they could have built this Star Killer in, you know, however much time. But I just feel like there's something significant, and that has to be explained in episodes 8 and 9. So let's keep going. Okay, I'm gonna just talk a little bit about Han and Leia's relationship. I feel like if they were a couple, like a really, you know, power couple of the galaxy, really, and then had a kid, and then, you know, kind of separated because, you know, Ben went all crazy, I feel like there has to be, I just didn't like the lines between them. Now, Star Wars has always been known for not having the greatest lines ever, like, you know, written, but I just didn't like it. It just felt uncomfortable to watch it. I was like, is this The Bachelor right now? Like, it just felt weird. And like, I love Han and I love Leia, but any of those scenes together, I was like, oh man, please end this, because I don't like seeing them, you know, upset with each other. But then they like hugged at the end, and I was like, so what's that supposed to mean? That the references in the movie were really, really good. Like, oh my gosh, like pretty much all the little, you know, the trash compactor jokes and the, you know, that's junk. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. When I was in the theater, first of all, this was the most crowded I have ever seen a movie theater in my entire life. And I was there for like the opening night of Mockingjay, like all the Hunger Games, you know, pretty much. Dude, I got there and I was supposed to meet some friends to eat, and they were seating the 7:30 show when we got there at 5:15. Like, okay, who is Commander Snoke? Like, where did he come from? Like, I feel like you know, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like the movie's such a copycat of episode 4. And I choose to look at the glass half full and be like, not so much copying as nostalgia. And I feel like they have to, in some respects, follow the storyline that's been so well established in the other trilogies. But at the same time, I would have liked it if they had done more of an original storyline in this one. But I think it was a little bit too much copying. Pulling from, actually, more like, instead of copying. At the same time, I feel like it was a really good setup for episodes 8 and 9. So 8 and 9 have to be totally different. And if they're not, that's where I think we're going to start seeing some major, you know, fandom rifts, you know, that kind of thing. If they're not totally different, I'm going to be way more upset. But I'm not right now. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go along with this, and we'll see if it works. I'm personally in the camp that I think it will. Okay, so yeah, Snoke was just out of the blue there, man. Like, what, where? I feel like that was just someone, yeah, I don't even know. Like, I just didn't like his character at all. It wasn't well explained enough. It wasn't necessary, really. I was like, why? I don't understand this. Okay, this is just a little nitpicking thing on my part, but anybody else notice that C-3PO was just like, hi, and then farewell? Like, he was just like there and then gone, and mentioned something about the red arm. You may not recognize me with this red arm, and then like, oh, well, even if we didn't, you're gone, so, hey, I was like, man, I was gonna actually ask you about the red arm, but you vanished, so, oh well. You know, it's just one of those things, it's like, why would you put that in there and then not explain it, and then it's just whoosh. I did appreciate that Stormtrooper's aim isn't significantly better, other than that village scene, but that was probably because the people were just there. That was a very good introduction to Kylo Ren, and I'm probably gonna have a whole separate video just about my thoughts on Kylo Ren. But I will say this: I think Adam Driver was really good in that role. I thought his range of facial emotion was really good. I have more thoughts about the character than I do the acting, but I really liked his acting, and him and Daisy Ridley as Rey, their chemistry was awesome. Speaking of Rey, let's talk about her. Okay, I love Rey. Like, she just seems like this, you know, there's this whole thing with the Skywalker men are really whiny, you know, that kind of thing. And Rey just seems like this optimistic, but, you know, head straight on her shoulders type of girl that I would really want to be friends with in real life. Like, I could totally see me and her hanging out, because I tend to find myself, and I feel like a lot of my fellow fangirls will agree on this, but, you know, we are where we are in life, and we don't have to complain about it. We can hope for something else and hope that, you know, her family would come back or whatever. But she wasn't, you know, moping around or whining about it, you know. She was just kind of where she was in the moment. And she had those moments where she kind of doubted herself, but then she moved on. And beautifully so. I just loved her character development the whole way. I thought her and Finn's interactions were really fun. I thought their relationship was a little too forced. In particular, the line where Finn's like, well, no one's ever looked at me the way you did before. And I'm like, honey, you were conditioned to be a soldier, correct? Like, no stormtrooper is going to look at you like that, you know, that kind of thing. And speaking of Finn, I want to know, you know, exactly at what point he thought to break conditioning. And, like, I think he's a really cool character, and I think they could have developed him a little bit more, but I like it so far. But, you know, Peter was in conditioning with President Snow for, like, what, 2 weeks? Like 3 weeks? I forget exactly, but, and you saw what happened to him, like, and that's, like, not force related at all. It's, like, brainwashing and everything like that. You know, so if you look at Finn, he's totally, like, whoosh, nope, not doing that, and moving on. So I was interested in that. I also did want to point out that I love the addition of Poe and BB-8. I thought those were great characters. BB-8 is so cute and sassy and adorable, and I want one. And Poe is just a really awesome addition. I love Oscar Isaac in that role. He and Finn have some great chemistry. We'll see if they intended to keep that a friendship, because I feel like if they're not, then I can totally see that. If they are, I think they got a little too close too quick, but that's me. You know what? Moving on. Rey learned how to use the Force too quickly. I'm pretty sure, like, you can't just do that. They didn't mention anything about her midichlorian count, especially the scene where she Jedi mind tricks that one soldier who was possibly the new James Bond. Everyone's still trying to figure that out, I guess. That whole thing, I thought the galaxy was plunged into basically like Force atheism, where they're like, oh, it's a legend, or we don't know if it's real, you know, whatever. Which which sets up a pretty good storyline if they had held with it. And so Rey goes from, oh my gosh, like, all that's real, to, oh, well, I remember hearing this very specific story about how you're supposed to use these exact syntax when you talk. You will now leave this room with the door open, and you will drop your weapon. And if I say it enough times, it will work. Let's talk about the whole Luke thing. Because, Leia is supposed to be a Jedi, right? And you'll understand why I say right in a minute. So she couldn't have used force messages and been like, yo, bro, I understand you gotta, like, recover from whatever drove you away. And, you know, you gotta do your you know, whole self-heal thing. But people are dying up in here, bro. They just blew up the whole Republic, even though nobody seems to care about it. And, like, so now might be a good time to come back. My backdrop's moving. Look at that. Now might be a good time to come back, you know? I mean, you do you, but about the First Order, I want to know, A, where they're getting their money from to build all this, because the Empire was totally gone, right? Like, that's what they were left in the impression with. Two, and I want to know why they keep building things that will destroy an entire planet that they're sitting on if they get hit by a tiny, relatively tiny spot. You know, it's like, I mean, I'll put a link in the description below, but there's this episode of Studio C, which we absolutely love, so go follow them if you're not on YouTube. But there's an episode of Studio C where Darth Sidious has to get a loan from Wells Fargo to build a new Death Star, and they're denied because their last one blew up because they had the tiny little, you know, hole. It's like, if they actually in real life needed, I mean, I know it's a fantasy and they can't be conformed to normal things, but it's like, come on, y'all. Money for that huge thing that outdoes the Death Star by like 15 to 1, like, don't just spring out of nowhere. Unless there's actually money trees someplace. I bet there are. I want to know who died in the very beginning that Finn got so emotionally attached about. Because Finn was hesitant before that guy died and then, like, you know, put his bloody hand on Finn's helmet. But he wasn't, you know, breaking out of line and stuff to do nothing. And then, bam, random guy dies. And Finn gets all emotionally destroyed. It's like he's me watching season 5 of Teen Wolf. Like, it's the, so who was that guy? Like, where did he come from? And, like, then the guy who's helping Poe at the very beginning, that older guy, apparently he's got a name, and I'll put that in the thingy because I forget how to pronounce it. But it's like, where did you pull him from? Confused? It couldn't have been Lando Calrissian. And I know what you all are thinking. Oh my gosh, she's black. Of course she's talking about the black guy. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if it's one of the major characters, this is the Chewbacca problem. Chewbacca never gets the medal. Chewbacca doesn't get comforted when Han dies. It's like Lando doesn't even get mentioned in episode 7. Like, I understand Billy D. Williams wasn't going to be in it. Whatever they said. But mention his name. Say, oh yeah, he's living on, you know, Endor because he really likes the Ewoks or something. Like, say something. I love the scene where Finn and Rey happen upon the Millennium Falcon. Well, let's be real. It's been 30 years and that thing still flies, doesn't need fuel, and even with those few modifications that have been referenced, is still in perfectly working order. And do they not have keys or stuff for spaceships? Anybody can just get in it and fly away? No wonder it's been stolen so many times, huh? You better think about getting some biometric scanning or something up in there, because otherwise it's going to be gone with whoever wants it. I'm getting really passionate about this, but yeah, anyway, this is my fandom, man. The point, the actor cameos in this were great. I saw so many Game of Thrones. I screamed when I saw Thomas Brody Sangster, guys. Not kidding. He was so cute. My fangirl side is coming out. I shall try to suppress it. Just kidding. I kind of can't do that. But he was so good. But then, you know, he dies. But hashtag page 250. Okay, so, Han Solo's death scene was so well done. I mean, everybody knew as soon as he stepped off the bridge. I'm in the theater like, no, don't do it, bro. No, don't do it, please. Please, oh gosh, no. Why? Step back, just walk away. Oh, you're not. Oh, you're dead. It's like if you could reassure the screen and physically move him back with your hand, you would do it, but you can't because it was probably filmed like a year and a half ago. It was totally seen coming, but you're still in the theater not breathing during that entire scene because it's so gut-wrenching. And then you have the great visual scenery. If you notice, Kylo Ren's coming from the right side, and there's literally just darkness. But there's the vent where, in the window where Finn and Rey are standing, and there's just light streaming down on Han as he walks out onto that bridge. And I'm just like, the visual imagery, I can't, oh, why? And it was just, I thought that scene was acted out perfectly. Now, what I do think should have happened is, this was mentioned by a few other YouTubers, is that Kylo should have definitely put his helmet back on after killing Han. I feel like he was, one, too quick to take it off, but then he should have definitely put it back on after he killed Han, because it was just like, it would have made his journey to the dark side feel complete. And I think there's a lot of fan theories like, oh, maybe he's actually a good guy or whatever or whatnot. Personally, I don't know yet. I haven't really made up my mind. I feel like everyone's like, oh, he's weak, he's bratty. Granted, he's kind of bratty. I wouldn't necessarily call him weak, because it takes a whole lot of force to be able to hold a blaster like the one that Poe shot at him and just hold it there and walk around like you ain't doing nothing. Like, that's kind of impressive. And so I feel like he's going to be a pretty good match for Rey. Why Rey's that powerful? I think that's the question that needs to be asked, not if Kylo's that strong or not. I feel like in the final fight between him and Rey, I feel like he was not focused. I feel like that was him being like, oh my gosh, I just totally killed my dad, and not so much, oh, let's kill Rey. Because he totally could have, but I just don't think that's where his mind was at the time. I'm still trying to work out what I feel about Kylo. So the jury's still out, and I think I'm going to do an entire other video about Kylo Ren and kind of my feelings on him. I will say again that I thought Adam Driver was really good in the role. Except that he doesn't look like Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher's child at all. Just saying. I feel like Han and Rey kind of had like a dual thing in this one, and I really like Han and Rey's relationship. That was like a really, really cute thing. One other thing I wanted to mention about the whole blowing up stuff, there's no gravitational effects when we blow up multiple planets, apparently. And I mean, I'm less worried about this because we haven't seen any of these repercussions in the other Star Wars movies. But yeah, there's absolutely no effects when a sun is totally zapped up. No big deal. And can we be real? Rey and Finn should be frozen to death unless that planet had an internal heat source, but that's more. We needed more Captain Phasma. The internet went crazy. Oh my gosh, she's the first female stormtrooper. That's great. Oh my gosh, it's a female stormtrooper? Females aren't powerful. They can't do anything. That's not right. That was such a really bad example. But she was in there for what? I counted maybe 2 minutes, and she had maybe 5 lines? 6 at the most, I feel like. I saw the movie twice, so I mean, but I didn't also take notes. I was too busy crying. I will say a high point that the sets made everything look like Star Wars. I think that's one of the main reasons why the trailer was so viewed so many times, because you had the music, you had deserts and the mountains and the everything, and it just brought the world alive in such a cool way. And a lot of people were like, well, who's Rey? Is she Luke's daughter? Is she not related to them at all? And going in, I made it a point not to look at the cast list on IMDb, not to look at anything. I didn't want to know anything going in. But I really wanted the protagonist and the antagonist to be completely unrelated to the Skywalkers. You know, I feel like, yeah, they got to be involved with whatever goes down, but I don't want the Skywalkers to be, you know, building this dynasty of intense darkness or intense light and then redemption in the middle. It's confusing, because let's listen to the trailer one more time.
The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. My sister has it. You have that power too.
You see that? You see that? You have that power too. Who the heck is he talking to? That's what I want to know. It's like, is it Rey? Is it Kylo? Because you're making it look like all these people are Jedis, or at least, you know, force aware and force involved. And so to say you have that power too, and then have Mark Hamill do like the easiest and probably best paid job ever, standing there looking really cool, pulling down a hood, it's like, I'm not saying that the movie doesn't live up to the hype. I'm saying that a lot of the hype was misdirected mostly because of that second trailer. Like, that second trailer was like, not even real, guys. Come on. It's like, he didn't even say that. What? Why? You gotta be lying to me and all the other millions of Star Wars fans. So anyway, guys, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this Star Wars The Force Awakens review. If you did enjoy it, you know what to do. Leave a like, my board is shifting again, hang on. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also follow our main page on Google+. Also, it is New Year's, so we're planning on doing a whole bunch of other crazy things. Hopefully to get a bunch of other YouTubers to collab with us on this channel. More fandom updates, more everything. So yeah, we are hoping to do a lot more. And I promise I will get a better board. This was the only backdrop I could find in my house. But yeah, I'm gonna make it all fandomized eventually, and it's still not. Okay. Thank you so much again for watching this video, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Thank you for being such awesome fan warriors. Slay on. Bye.